almost forgot, but tomorrow is the annual 30K road race in Hamilton. I signed up for the race about 8 months ago. More or less forgot about the race. I didn't train. I didn't prepare myself. I'm not at all ready to run this race. So I expect that I'll have very poor results. I normally have poor results, but I'll have poor results tomorrow. So what I've decided to do is to create a little video about the race. Basically, it's a way for me to distract from the fact that I'll be very slow and that I'm unprepared for the race. So that's the purpose of this. I guess I shouldn't have mentioned that because it takes away from the ability to distract. In order to understand how old the Around the Bay road race is, let's put it on a timeline. So let's start here with today, and today is April 2nd, 2016. And we'll just draw our timeline all the way out here, and we'll just circle that. Okay, so we have a beginning and an end. We can put some reference points in here. So that's today. So let's use a marker, something as sort of a milestone that everybody likes, and we'll use Betty White. So Betty White was born, there she is. Betty White was born in 1922. Looks pretty good. Betty White was born in 1922, so that means that from today until her birth, she is 94 years old. So Betty White is 94 years old. The race that's often thought as being the oldest race in North America, which is actually the oldest marathon in the world, annual marathon in the world, is the Boston Marathon. And let's bring up the Boston Marathon. There's good old Boston. Boston Marathon was started in 1897. So let's put that in reference to Betty White, which was 1922. We'll just put Boston Marathon, I guess something like this, probably. That looks good. And this was 1897. So there you have it. Betty White, 22, Boston Marathon, 1897. That makes the Boston, Marathon. How old would Boston Marathon be? It would be 119 years old. So Betty White, 94, Boston Marathon, that's 119. And okay, so the question is, how old is the Around the Bay road race? The Around the Bay road race, which is right here, is actually older than the Boston Marathon by a couple years, and pretty close, but it's older. It was started, so you can see, that's that one. It was started in 1894. So how old would it be? It would be 122 years old. So there you have it. Betty White would be 94 years old. The Boston Marathon is will be 119 years old, and the Around the Bay road race will be 122 years old. So this is the 8th time I've run this race. Like most other years, I'm totally unprepared, both mentally and physically, but I guess not quite mentally, but I know a little bit what to expect, and it's not going to be pretty.
I told you. Get on it. Done.
Like normal, I forgot something. Forgot my gloves. It's quite cold.
It's fire time.
One of the things I really like about this race is actually the weather, the time of year. You never have any idea what it's going to be like. Last year, I think it was like plus 15 or something. One year it was minus 17. And today, like I said, minus 6. It snowed last night.
I told you.
Yeah, so it's definitely cold outside. Most people are smart. Most people are inside right now.
Get on it. Done. It's fire time.
we're moving 30 kilometers, piece of cake. That's 10. 20 more to go. Piece of cake. That was 15K. That's Toronto. 15 to go, piece of cake. You guys have beer? Oh.
Cheers. That's awesome. Ice cold beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Awesome. There. That's 22. 8 to go. Piece of cake. But shouldn't have drank that beer. Oh well. Piece of cake. So that's my 8th consecutive around the bay 30K in Hamilton. Always a great race, always a great event, always feel great afterward. Don't always have a great time. Today was a great day, started off cold, but it's great running weather, and look forward to next year for number 9. So you may say that, you know, it's pretty close. These two, it's only 3 years that separates them. But when you put that in perspective with the countries they represent, which Boston Marathon was the US, and around the bay is Canada, let's put that into a little bit of perspective. So the question is, how old is the US? Well, we have the US right here. Oh, there's the US. And the US is old, so we'll put it right at the end of our timeline. How old is the US? Well, it claimed independence from the British, or fought for its independence and achieved its independence in 1776. So that makes the US, on our timeline here, makes the US 240 years old. So this is what our timeline is looking like. We have the US down here, 240 years old. Boston Marathon, 122 years old. Boston Marathon, 119 years old. Around the Bay Road Race, 122 years old. And good old Betty White, 94 years old. So this is where it gets very interesting. We have this country, Canada, right here. When was it independent? Well, Canada became independent in 1863. 7. So, Canada was only an independent country for a very short period of time, which was about, what am I looking at, doing my math, 27 years. It took Canada 27 years to establish the oldest road race in North America, while it took the US, dun, 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 what does that equal? That equals 121 years to establish the Boston Marathon. So, who's faster? Who is faster at creating an annual road race? Although it's shorter, Canada 27 years, US 121 years. So there you have it. Who was faster? Canada was faster. So begs the question, what did the US do for 94 years? It took them, the difference between these two, 94 years. What was the US doing? Oh, beats me, I don't know. Lazy. That's all I had to say, lazy. Lazy. Canada, fast, US, fast. So there you have it. There's the perspective in terms of how old the Around the Bay road race is.